So let's start by looking at the novel Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Now, Great Expectations is a classic English novel written in 1850. It depicts the life of Pip, who's an orphan boy living in Victorian England. This scene, which we're going to be looking at, is a description of Miss Havisham, who's a wealthy spinster who decides to take Pip on off the streets and to give him a chance in life. So we'll see the way that Miss Havisham is described and how imagery is used to set her up as a character. So let's look at this extract. She was dressed in rich materials, satins and lace and silks, all of white. Her shoes were white, and she had a very long white veil dependent from her hair, and she had bridal flowers in her hair, but her hair was white. Some bright jewels sparkled on her neck and on her hands, and some other jewels lay sparkling on the table. So the first technique, which you'll see highlighted here, is the list technique. Now, this is used to show the immense wealth that Miss Havisham has and the very decadent scene which you're seeing. So these fabrics, the rich materials, satins, lace, silks, and later on the bright jewels, really show the connotations of being nice to feel and to touch and to look at. These are all very valuable things. Now you're highlighted, all of white, her shoes were white, a long white veil, her hair was white. This is the repetition of the word white. Now, this imagery is suggestive of the colour of brides and also of purity. However, later on, when we look at this extract a little bit further, you'll see that white slowly turns to yellow as the passage continues, and this is suggestive of her deterioration in old age and that process that humans undertake. So if we continue with this extract, she had not quite finished dressing, for she had but one shoe on. The other was on the table near her hand. Her veil was but half arranged, her watch and chain were not put on, and with her handkerchief and gloves and some flowers and a prayer book, all confusedly heaped about the looking-glass. So this listing technique really shows that the image is half complete. The character isn't totally dressed, and you're getting this sense of everything being in disarray and being very confused. So that image is being very well built up throughout this passage. Words such as half and not show the negative flip side to the beautiful image. You know, this image isn't completely there, and it's not quite right because it hasn't been finished yet. The scene seems moth-eaten and spoiled. Things aren't as they seem. We can just continue on with the passage. I saw that the bride within the bridal dress had withered the dress, and like the flowers, and had no brightness left but the brightness of her sunken eyes. I saw that the dress had been put upon the rounded figure of a young woman, and that the figure upon it, which now hung loose, had shrunk to skin and bone. Once I had been taken to see a ghastly waxwork at the fair. So here we get the juxtaposition between this wedding scene in the present, so the old woman, and in the past, the young woman when she was actually getting married. So that juxtaposition here is extremely important. You'll see highlighted here the first person of I saw that, which really shows the emotional involvement of the scene and gives an indication of the fact that this is really a personal and painful reflection of the narrator. So perspective is really an important aspect which adds to imagery. The white imagery, additionally, that we discussed earlier, is contrasted to this harsh reality of the old woman who's withered and thin. She's not round anymore. She's withered and, like the flowers, has no brightness left. So we get that sense that as an old woman, she's really deteriorated. And that juxtaposition is very powerful in highlighting that. At the end, we finally get an extension of this imagery through memory and flashback. So the idea of the ghastly waxwork at the fair, which compares to what now the narrator is seeing.